Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dads and Darker. On the last episode, we covered all the basics on getting you started on your first dungeon crawl. Today, we'll be going in depth on vendors, sellable items, and healing. This is Dads and Darker, Episode 2. Welcome back to the lobby. Dark and Darker has many vendors, each selling unique items and equipment. Some may be useful to your class, others may not, but it's important you familiarize yourself with all of them. The permanent merchants are as follows: the Alchemist, the Armorer, the Fortune Teller, the Goblin Merchant, the Leathersmith, the Squire, the Surgeon, the Tailor, the Tavern Master, the Collector, the Treasurer, the Weaponsmith, and finally the Woodsman. There are rotating seasonal vendors that appear during certain parts of the year, but those are unimportant in today's video. The first vendor is one of the most important, the Alchemist. The Alchemist sells potions of healing and a few assorted caster weapons. He also has a services tab, which includes crafting several metal powders from their corresponding ores for item crafting, increasing the rarity of potions through herbs found in the dungeon, and late game special item crafting. You may sell any weapons, armor, utility items, or potions to this vendor. Next up, another important merchant, the Armorer. The Armorer sells assorted heavy armors, useful for gaining some damage resistance. His services include turning assorted ores into ingots and upgrading armor using those ingots. You may sell any weapons, armor, utility items, or potions to this vendor as well. Next, a relatively unimportant merchant as of the current update, the Fortune Teller. The Fortune Teller sells large and small potions of luck and crystal balls, luck being a stat that I will explain in a later video. As of the date of this video upload, they have no services to offer. The Goblin Merchant is next on the list. The Goblin Merchant sells a rotating stock of items for a high price. The rarity of those items are a gamble and can either cost you gold or win you much more. Play at your own risk and only if you have the spare gold to do so. His service is called Dungeon Recovery. This service allows some of the items you had equipped in a dungeon to be recovered upon your untimely demise, provided no other dungeon dweller picked it up. This service can be very expensive, so make sure it's something you really want back. The Leathersmith is next. The Leathersmith sells an assortment of leather armor, useful for maintaining speed while offering decent protection. You'll find many classes will make use of the items he sells. The service he offers is the ability to upgrade leather armor pieces with different metal powders, crafting high-end armors, and crafting gold coin bags, a late game item. This vendor too will buy any weapons, armor, utility items, or potions. Next, the Squire. Being as how we went in depth with him on our last episode, I'll keep this brief. This merchant equips you upon loss with fresh base level gear and equipment. The Surgeon, another important vendor in this list, is next. The Surgeon sells only bandages and offers no services. However, I promise you will find yourself visiting this vendor often. This merchant will also buy any weapons, armor, utility items, or potions you have to offer. Next on the list, the Tailor. The Tailor sells assorted cloth-based armors. His services include upgrading the aforementioned cloth armors with metal powders and item crafting for late game. As with many others, this vendor will also purchase weapons, armor, utility items, or potions you have to offer. Our neighborhood bartender is next, the Tavern Master. The Tavern Master sells ales, an item to be drank in-game to give a temporary boost to strength, with the pitfall of the drunk condition, and instruments. As of the recording of this video, this merchant offers no services. The Collector is next. This merchant is one you will hopefully become very familiar with, as he will be one of your largest sources of income. He will purchase trinkets like necklaces, rings, gems, and other valuable goods. Anytime you survive the dungeon with loot, swing through his shop and sell your goods. Next, the treasurer. He sells coin bags that allow you to collect gold in stacks of 50 rather than of 10, saving you valuable space in your inventory. The other service he offers is turning silver coins into gold coins, a service I would recommend not using for now. I will clarify why in a later video. The next merchant, the weaponsmith, is another very important vendor. Assorted weaponry and shields from all classes can be purchased from him. His services include upgrading and crafting weapons from ingots and other materials you bring him, along with crafting certain utility items like lockpicks or hunting traps. He will also buy any weapons, armor, utility items, or potions you try to sell him. The final merchant is the woodsman. He sells many items you will find useful, including bows, arrows, pickaxes, campfires, throwable weapons, and others. He doesn't offer any services as of the making of this video. However, he will purchase any weapons, armor, utility items, or potions you offer him. Now with all the vendors explained, let's step into the fun part of an extraction looter, the loot. More specifically, the loot only meant for selling to the collector. There are a lot of miscellaneous knickknacks to sell to the collector, and keeping track of the individual value of each piece in your head would be enough to drive anyone to the loony bin. So there are some simple tricks to assist in determining whether or not you should pick up that bangle or leave it behind. First, I must explain the rarity structure in this game. Dark and Darker's rarity system is color-coded, as it is in many other looter games like Destiny or Fortnite for you Zoomers. The colors for miscellaneous items in order from most common to most rare are as follows. Cracked is dark gray, flawed, which is gray, normal, which is white, fine, which is green, exquisite, which is blue, perfect, which is purple, royal, which is orange, and ultimate, which is yellow. Item value to the vendors is primarily determined by slots occupied and rarity. There is some variety between individual items, but these are relatively unimportant until the very top end of late game play. An example of quick analysis you can do in the dungeon is a white goblet which takes 2 inventory slots is less valuable than a green emerald and a white gem ring, despite it taking up the same number of slots. Sort your gear as you go, but do so quickly and while listening carefully as to not get snuck up on by NPCs or players. If you successfully extract with the sellable items, congratulations. Click on over to the collector to bank your hard-earned gold. Don't forget to place your gold in your stash before you launch your next mission, or you'll risk losing it upon death, as all items equipped or in your inventory will be lost upon defeat in the dungeon. Now that you've got some change in your pocket, let's talk about where to spend your first few hard-earned dollars, healing items. As you may have noticed in your first few runs in the dungeon, there are 3 parts to your health bar. The bright red indicates health you currently have, the dark red portion of your health indicates health that can be easily recovered, the gray portion of your health indicates health that must be recovered using an item or something else we'll cover in this section that is found in the dungeon. Healing in this game is similar to PUBG, if you've ever played that. It may sound overly complicated, but once you've experienced it in person, it becomes quite simple to remember and utilize. The dark red of your portion may be recovered using any healing item, health potion, bandage, campfire, surgical kits, or by simply pressing G on your keyboard to sit down. Bandages are best to use to recover chunks of dark red health, but sitting will suffice if there are no other options. The gray portion of your health must be recovered by using either healing potions, campfires, or surgical kits. The best option for this will be the healing potion, which will recover dark red health and gray health over time. Campfires can be an excellent utility item, but take time to use. They are essential for any caster class, useful for any class, and required to get certain abilities back like Second Wind on the fighter. To use it, make sure it's in your quick slot, equip it to your hands, and look down until it turns white. Left click and your character will begin to place it. After it is placed at your feet, press G to sit and watch your health and spells recover quickly. Use this carefully and keep your ears peeled for enemies. The final healing item is the surgical kit. This item will guarantee a full heal upon use, but will take time to apply. To use one, equip it to your equipment slot, place it into your hands, and left-click. A timer will pop up, and when that timer is done, you'll be fully recovered. The final way to heal in the game can be found in the dungeon and is called a Shrine of Health. Simply approach it and interact with it. Much like a surgical kit, this will also guarantee a full heal. Feel free to use these as you come across them, because not only will it heal you, it will deny a potential enemy from using it against you. Healing items are an essential part of dungeon survivability, to make sure you have a proper amount on you. I'd recommend carrying 3 stacks of healing potions, 4 stacks of bandages, and at least 1 campfire into the dungeon. But as you play, you'll find out what works best for you. Thank you all so much for listening to the second episode of Dads and Darker. I hope some of this will assist in your rise to fame in the leaderboards and in the dungeon. Please consider leaving a like, and to never miss an episode, click subscribe. If I've missed something, or if you have a suggestion for a future episode, please feel free to leave a comment down below. This has been Dads and Darker, and I'll see you in the dungeon.